It's Monday, June 12th, 2023. Markets had a very nice rally today. They are hoping, they are praying, they're anticipating a Fed pause this Wednesday, and they very well may get that pause. Comment down below. Does Jerome Powell have the guts to raise rates on Wednesday, or is he going to cave and pause? These markets are so addicted to the cheap money, they need the Fed to reverse course. They need the Fed to pause and reverse. They want QE, they want money printing, they want helicopter money. These markets are so dependent on this cheap, easy money. And they know that if the Fed keeps raising, there's going to be more difficult times ahead in these markets. These markets don't care about reality. They don't care about unemployment. They don't care about inflation. They care about when is the Fed not just going to pause, but when is the Fed going to reverse course, start lowering rates and start firing up the printing presses. That's what they're hoping for. That's what they're waiting on. But they'll take a pause this Wednesday. We'll see if Jerome Powell has any guts whatsoever. I think that Jerome Powell is maybe not going to pause on Wednesday and actually raise rates another 25 basis points. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I may be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Comment down below. What do you think? Does he have the guts to go another 25 basis points, or is he going to give in? CPI will be released tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern Time. The report is expected to show that all items inflation increased just 0.1% last month, equating to a 4% annual rate. So why would the Fed pause right now? We have unemployment at nearly a record low. We have an extremely tight labor market. We still have inflation way above the 2% targeted goal. Why not raise? Core inflation is expected to run at a faster pace. So is this going to be enough for the Fed to skip a rate hike this meeting? I'm going to say no. I don't think they're going to skip. I think that they're going to raise rates. That's my opinion. More than likely going to be wrong, but I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. I think that they're going to raise. Again, markets up today. We have record low unemployment. We have a tight labor market. People are still spending. So why not raise? We still have we don't even know what we have. We're going to know more tomorrow, but they're expecting 4%. That's 4% higher than last year. Raise the rates, Jerome Powell, and we need the government to stop spending money. Wolfstreet.com today. Powell caught in one heck of a squeeze. Just to paraphrase a little bit, if you get a chance, read this article. It's very interesting. What will break first, the economy or Powell's will to break inflation? Get this, half of the federal deficit is now interest on the debt. The annual borrowing cost is $1 trillion. In reality, the U.S. Treasury is financing the interest charges by tacking it onto the federal debt of being paid as we go. Very, very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. We are literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. We are literally taking one credit card to pay another credit card. Very, very dangerous. Again, the U.S. Treasury is financing the interest charges by tacking it on to the federal debt, which should be paid as we go, and it is not. TheEconomicCollapse.com. This was very interesting. The 11 signs that our economic problems are accelerating a lot faster than most people were anticipating. So we can look at some of the problems right now, look at the data, and please comment down below. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? This is all factual right here. Foreclosures are up 14% last month compared to a year ago. That's a fact. They were up, I believe, 7% from the prior month. We're being warned that that foreclosure filings are on a upward trajectory. That's number 2. Number 3, sales of existing homes are falling off of a cliff nationwide. That is a fact. I mean, you look at what's happening nationally. Doesn't matter what state you live in. Sales numbers are absolutely collapsing. 4, 8 million Americans live in a household that is behind on paying rent. Let me repeat this, because number 4 is a real canary in the coal mine here. 8 million Americans live in a household that is behind on paying rent. If things were so good, how come we have 8 million Americans living in homes that cannot pay rent? 20 million households cannot pay their utility bills. Number 5, the most epic commercial real estate crisis in U.S. history has begun. That is an absolute fact. We talked about these 2 hotels in San Francisco. $725 million loan, now delinquent. They just bounced on it. We have never seen a commercial real estate market like the one we're seeing right now. And it's not just San Francisco, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening all over the U.S. Number 6, major corporate bankruptcies are happening at the fastest pace that we have seen since 2010. Another bad omen. Number 7, initial jobless claims surged last week to 261,000. That's the highest level in almost 2 years. I believe we're going to continue to see this number surge. And this number isn't even accurate. They're not counting a lot of people. So remember, the formula for this is not the same formula that they used back in the 80s. They're not counting people that are coming out of college that can't find a job. They're not counting people who've rolled off unemployment. They're not counting independent contractors. They're not counting the people who left a well-paying job of $70,000, $80,000 a year. Now they're working 2 and 3 side hustles, 2, 3 part-time jobs. They're not including these people. 9, U.S. manufacturing has now fallen into contraction territory. 10, European manufacturing also has fallen into contraction territory. 11, the EU has entered recession in the first quarter. So this isn't just going to be in the US. This is happening all over the globe. $308 trillion of global debt. The EU in recession. We know. There's nobody out there that doesn't know that we're in a recession right now. In fact, we are now heading into a depression. And here's a little bit more just to support that. GrubHub lays off 15% of corporate workforce, or about 400 employees. These are well-paying jobs, ladies and gentlemen. These people own houses. These people own cars. They pay rent. How are they going to afford those mortgages now? 400 corporate workers at GrubHub laid off. Unbelievable. Newsweek, San Francisco's decline is a warning to other American cities. So what do we see in San Francisco? And we're seeing not just in San Francisco, but in many major cities and small cities across America. Well, rampant homelessness. We're seeing a drug crisis. We're seeing surging crime. We're seeing business closures everywhere. Home prices falling off of a cliff. A once thriving city like San Francisco is dying, and we're witnessing that. But being somebody that grew up in Chicago, take a look at the city of Chicago. Somebody who lives less than 2 hours away from Los Angeles. Take a look at Los Angeles. I know there's no city in America, maybe you could argue maybe Portland, but Los Angeles is the worst. It's worse than San Francisco. It's worse than Portland. It is an atrocity what is taking place in Los Angeles. But it's happening everywhere. You're seeing the homelessness crisis, the drug crisis, the crime crisis, the business closures, home sales plunging. And these once beautiful cities like San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, all of them are dying right before our very eyes. And it's going to get much worse. You're going to just watch these cities literally turn into Detroit or even worse. So sad. And it's happening even in smaller areas of Riverside County, in some of the smaller cities. You look at San Bernardino, terrible what is happening. And it's going to continue to get worse. And people out there can deny this. And we talked about denial yesterday. It's going to be a lot of people's worst enemy, denial. Don't deny what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it with your own 2 eyes. You are watching the same thing I'm watching. To sit here and do nothing about it, except ignore it, is a very, very bad strategy. The hedge today. The U.S. economic fairy tale, save the system or the currency. And it gave an analogy here of Humpty Dumpty being the U.S. debt egg. The cracks are everywhere. The egg is getting fatter and fatter. And the more we kick this debt or this egg, the more cracks form. Where will the much needed liquidity come from to keep Humpty Dumpty alive, as debt is the only thing keeping him from a fall. We got to keep creating this debt. We got to keep supplying this liquidity into the system, and we are printing it, we are manufacturing it out of thin air. We are not producing things here, we are not manufacturing things here, we are consuming and printing lots of money, ladies and gentlemen, and that will be the demise, the fall of the empire. It always is. Just read history. And this could have been prevented. Maybe it could still be prevented, but not at the rate we're going. We are spending so much money. We just raised the debt ceiling, ladies and gentlemen. This is an open checkbook. Trillions and trillions of dollars more will be taxed, will be printed, will be borrowed. And I don't see how inflation can even be near 4% right now when we are sending tens of billions of dollars overseas, and we're going to print another $4 trillion plus over the next couple of years. Batten down the hatches, ladies and gentlemen. This thing is far from over. We're just in the beginning stages, and people are going to live through a massive, massive depression here. There's no getting around it. The damage is done. There's no going back. And these people who believe that we're going to go back to some sort of normal, they are in la la land. They are drinking the Kool-Aid. There is no going back to normal. I mean, we're with $31.8 trillion of debt right now. That doesn't even include unfunded liabilities. We're over $200 trillion in debt, blowing past $300 trillion globally, and we're still spending money. Nobody talks about stopping the spending. You want to fix the problem, you got to stop spending. And there's no politician out there, there's nobody in the Fed talking about stopping spending. We can raise interest rates all we want, but until we stop spending money, nothing is going to get fixed. And we talk about the economy collapsing. It's already collapsed, ladies and gentlemen. It collapsed back in 2008. It's in a million pieces right now. There's no going back. And the minute you admit that to yourselves, the minute you'll take action and get ready for the next chapter. And the next chapter is going to be a depression in America. You're being warned right now by a lot of people. Don't take my word for it. Don't listen to me. Do your own due diligence. Do your own homework. Read some history. Read the data. Read the numbers. Talk to business owners. And I think you're going to come to the realization we got big trouble. And remember, a lot of this data is so rigged and so manipulated, you can't even believe it. Do you really believe unemployment is only 3.5%? Do you believe the national debt is really only $31.8 trillion? It's much higher than that. Do you believe that we have a tight labor market? I don't. Do you believe that there's going to be an improvement in the housing market? They keep telling us, don't worry, housing's fine, there's limited inventory, it's going to come back, nothing to worry about. I didn't even check the mortgage rates today. I still think we're around 7%. Who in the world is going to buy a house right now, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 at 7-8% when they don't know if they're going to have a job tomorrow? How many people have spouses that have already lost a job? There's so much uncertainty out there right now. One thing I will say today, and the advice I will give today, is do not buy any big ticket items, especially a house. We have geopolitical uncertainty. We're talking about possible World War III out there now. We're watching home sales plunge unlike we have ever seen before. Drastic numbers. There's so much uncertainty with jobs in the economy out there, mortgage rates, what the Fed is going to do next. Right now, I think you want to be agile. You want to be extremely defensive. You want to be able to adapt quickly. I think this is a time to have some capital, have some cash on the sidelines, and be patient. Patience right now is going to be an incredible asset for every one of us. But there's people out there that still have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, that they've got to jump in and buy a house right now because interest rates might go to 10%. Well, let them go to 12%. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to see prices at some point break loose here and plunge in the housing market. Look at what's happening in commercial real estate right now. And you're going to see it transition over to housing because people are not going to be able to afford to keep their homes. That's just the bottom line. Many people paid way too much for these homes. Many people wanted to get into the hotel business and buy 2, 3, 4, 5 homes and get an Airbnb, and they just thought that, you know, home prices would go up forever, that there would be discretionary money forever, that people are going to rent homes every weekend on Airbnb, and that, you know, we're going to be in Fantasyland in the Wizard of Oz forever. And people are going to have a rude awakening very, very soon that they borrowed way too much money. They way overextended themselves. People borrowing money out of their homes to buy other homes, to open up Airbnbs. These people are out of their minds. They do not understand the kind of risk that they were taking. But they listen to the people on the television with the $3,000 suits telling you that everything's going to be fine. It always goes up. Everything goes up. We're not going to see anything go down. Janet Yellen, also guilty of this. We'd never see an economic downturn. We'd never see another recession. And here we are. A bank failure after bank failure after bank failure, and more are coming. Do you really think it makes any sense whatsoever? We're going to see more bank failures. We're going to see more geopolitical uncertainty. We're going to see more war across the globe. Do you think that this is the time to buy a house? So many people are going to learn an incredible life lesson here that you better be careful who you listen to. You better study a little bit of history. You better do some due diligence. Stop listening to your financial advisors and the people on the television. They're always wrong. And people are going to learn a valuable lesson. Many people have already. Their cars are being repoed right now. They're being evicted from their apartments. They have no money saved up. They have no assets. They have no net worth. They have no plan. They have no skills. They're on borrowed time. Ladies and gentlemen, do not put yourself in this situation of being on borrowed time. These will be the people who are going to be extremely dependent on the system to save them, to eat, to put a roof over their heads, to protect them. Once you're dependent on the system, ladies and gentlemen, you are a slave. Do everything today to make sure that you do not become a slave. Do not become a debt slave. Do not become a slave to the state. Once you are dependent on the system, they got you. You need to do everything you can right now to get out of the system, to detach from the system. Don't have all your money in the bank. Don't have all your money in dollars. The most powerful thing you can do is have your money out of the banks. Have your money in gold, in silver. This gives you more power. It gives them less power. I'm going to leave it there today. Any advice that you have for anybody out there, including myself, please comment down below. What is one of the best ways to get out of the system? Me, it's getting out of the banks. It's getting out of the dollar. Not saying to put all your money in gold and silver. You got to have some dollars for sure. But not be 100% all in on the system. Get out of the system. The system is melting down right before your very eyes. It's going to take down millions of people with it. And people are going to go, what just happened? Don't be one of those people, ladies and gentlemen. Comment down below. Please like, subscribe, share this video. God bless.